get me wrong. Of course, women can be strong in certain situations, right? There's a moment in the Bible where Jael takes a nail and basically just hammers it through someone's temple. There's moments in the Bible where women are, right, strong. They're not meant to lead, though, and they're not meant to protect, right? Those moments are really like self-defense moments. Those really moments are like the exceptions that we see in the Bible. But these women, these police women, they'll be overly aggressive, and then they'll accidentally shoot people just out of the blue, right? They'll take out their gun because they're scared once the victim starts moving or something, the person being arrested starts moving, and they'll take out their gun, and they'll just pull the trigger accidentally because of the nerves, just because of being nervous, just because of not knowing what to do, and accidentally kill people. And these are things that are just not meant to be women's jobs. They're hard things to do. They are difficult things to do. Women have the same value as men, but we have different roles. We have different stages. We have different things that we're supposed to be doing. And protecting men is not one of them. It's supposed to be bearing children, guiding the house, teaching the older women, teaching the younger women to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home. This is what the Bible teaches is the woman's role in society, is the main role of women in society. So number one is the dangers of DEI. Number two, another thing that we can see through this event, through the shooting event, is the dangers of denial. In Proverbs 18:13, it says, "He that answereth the matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto him." So denial is the action of declaring something to just be untrue. And you can see this throughout this event. You've really seen the effects of social media, and you can really see the distrust of the American public towards their government, and specifically towards mainstream media and everything. Because you're seeing two extremes throughout this event. You're seeing people that are answering a matter before they hear it, and it's becoming a folly and shame unto him, because you're seeing people that are literally saying that the assassination attempt was staged by Trump. Like that when he was shot, he had a blood capsule in his hand and he just like poured the blood on his face or something, or that some people were saying that he basically had it out with his Secret Service so that he would fall and that they would cut him and blood would come out, or that he would cut himself. Like all these different things that we can't prove for sure, that we don't know for sure, but it's just a distrust of the facts, of things that are just commonly accepted. It's the same thing here as saying, "He that answereth the matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto him." It's people basically just hearing about the event and already coming up with stuff that is like not based on any evidence at all, not based on eyewitnesses or evidence or anything at all, just coming up and being dogmatic about it, teaching other people about it, putting posts about it. And we're seeing this from both sides, right? Because the left will say, well, Trump staged it, and then the right said that the left staged it, right? Or the deep state staged it, or that Biden staged it, or that it was all staged by, people in the government trying to take Trump out. Obviously, out of the two, I lean more this way, because obviously that makes a lot more sense, right? The shooter didn't have a lot of history. He didn't have like social media accounts, and he's a young person. It's like a lot of things that just sound sketchy, right? Just being allowed to be on that roof in the first place, that's sketchy. There's people talking about there's a second shooter, all these things that the point is that people are coming up with, and they're just denying, like everything that they're hearing is just denying everything. And like I said, there's a lot of extreme views and theories that have sprung up from both sides, but we should just not answer a matter before we hear it. We as Christians, we need to not cast shame about who we are. We should just not automatically just say everything's a false witness. Just say, oh no, that didn't happen. Oh, actually, I think it was CGI. The whole thing wasn't real. It was CGI, because even people have said that, where it's like staged in that sense. It's like we haven't gotten to that point where it looks so real like that through the videos. Like people are saying that one specific some posts that I have seen, people are saying from the left side, people are saying that Christ is the Antichrist. Sorry, that Trump is the Antichrist. And they even go to this specific passage in Revelation 13. Because when the Bible talks about the Antichrist, it talks about that he's going to suffer a deadly wound in his head, and that his deadly wound is going to be healed, and then all the world is going to follow after the beast, right? So even the so-called Christians that say that they're Christians, right? Because anyone says that they're Christians, but if you're not trusting only in Jesus to take you to heaven, you're not a Christian, you're not saved, right? But so-called Christians are using modern versions. They're trying to use Bible verses to teach that Trump is the Antichrist. Revelation 13:3, it says, "And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast." So, just straight off the bat, just reading this verse, you know this has nothing to do with what happened in that rally, because number one, he was shot in the ear, right? So that's not on the head. And number two, that's not a deadly wound. So if you get shot in the ear, even though you might bleed, it's not a deadly wound. Go to Deuteronomy 19. And this is what something, a lesson that we can learn from this whole thing is that we need to be careful of not just be accepting of everything that we read online. We should not just automatically see a post of a picture of something and just automatically accept it at face value. We should have diligent inquisition in the matter, right? We should not be the type of Christian that just accepts everything, right? This is the first verse that we went to. Prove all things, hold fast to that which is good. And me personally, I'm not planning on voting for Donald Trump. I'm not planning on voting at all, right? Because Donald Trump is someone who's greedy, who's wicked, who's proud, right? Even after this whole event. Because if you can go to the Republican National Convention and a whole crowd, right, just be screaming out your name, saying, "We love Trump, we love Trump." I mean, and you accepting that, that's pretty proud. I mean, that's pretty much man worship at that point. And I'm not for Biden either, right? Because I'm not for people that are mentally handicapped running a government position, right? But I'm not for Trump either because I'm not going to bless the wicked. I'm not going to condone people who are not for abortion, right? Because he says he's for abortion, but he still would allow abortions. I'm not going to condone someone who is for the LGBTQ community because that's not what the Bible talks about. There are plenty of topics that we could talk about where I'm not for Donald Trump, and there's some other topics, right, that I'm for. I agree with what he says, but I'm not going to condone all his wickedness because of the few things that I actually do agree with him about. So, but the Bible specifically talks about here in Deuteronomy 19 about making diligent inquisition. So whether or not I like someone or not like them, that shouldn't affect our judgment at all when it comes to facts, when it comes to things that actually happen, right? It should, when you have judgment, the Bible talks about not having pity in judgment, that we're not supposed to not actually let our emotions get way into this decision. In Deuteronomy 19:18 through 19, it says, "And the judges shall make diligent inquisition, and behold, if the witness be a false witness, and hath testified falsely against his brother, then shall ye do unto him as he had thought to have done unto his brother. So shalt thou put the evil away from among you." So this is the ninth commandment. The ninth commandment is thou shalt not bear false witness, right? Because a lot of times we just think that the ninth commandment is thou shalt not lie. But specifically, yes, we shouldn't lie. But specifically, the ninth commandment out of the 10 commandments is 4 is not 5, don't lie. That's how I remember. 4 is not 5, don't lie. The ninth commandment. So specifically, it's thou shalt not bear false witness. So if you're brought before a stand, there is a criminal court case going on, and you're brought as a witness, you're not going to bear false witness against your neighbor. You're not going to bear false witness against somebody else. You're not going to say, this is what happened, unless you know that's what happened. Because you don't want to bear false witness. And the Bible even gives this condemnation here, saying that if you bear false witness, and it's found out that it wasn't true, then what was going to happen to that victim, to that person who was affected by your false witness, then it should happen to you. So let me give you this example. If you're bearing false witness against somebody and you're saying, oh, that person, he deserves to be put to death because he did this, because he shot or killed this guy, and he didn't actually do it, and it's found out that you're the false witness, if he was going to be put to death, now you're going to be put to death, because you're the one who said he was going to be put to death. So this is supposed to instill fear in people who are witnesses, so that they don't just blatantly lie about things. This, you read the story in the Bible about Naboth's vineyard, and Jezebel, she hired men of Belial to lie about Naboth, saying he cursed God and the king, and then they stoned him and he died. If this was followed, what would have happened? Then those men of Belial, they would have made diligent inquisition. They would have actually searched things out, and the men of Belial would have been killed. But the problem started with the fact that they didn't make diligent inquisition. And I just want to say this specifically is that I don't know what happened. Maybe it was Trump staging it. Maybe it was the deep state staging it. Maybe, a lot of things are out of our knowledge because lots of things, pictures are being put up, and there's people putting up pictures that are just disingenuous, right? That are just putting up pictures of after the fact, of after the shooting, saying it happened before the shooting, right? Putting up video clips of things and saying that this is from this place, and it's not the whole picture all the time. So we want to make sure that we have diligent inquisition. We don't want to make fools of ourselves, and specifically, we don't want to make false witnesses out of ourselves. So number one is this of the dangers of DEI in this whole situation. Number two is the dangers of denial. And, obviously, the government and mainstream media, they are constantly not telling us the truth about situations, which is why there's a lot of suspicion about everything. But this does not mean that everything that is said is a lie. This does not mean that the only source of truth you can get is from Alex Jones or something like that, right? This does not mean that all the conspiracy theories that you hear in the world or in YouTube or anywhere are true just because the government lies sometimes, right? Or the government lies a lot. Because there are a bunch of conspiracy theories where it's the conspiracy theorist who's the one that's lying, who's the one who's putting up pictures from a different angle, putting up things, trying to twist your concept about a thing to be able to get you on their side. So we want to make sure that we don't just deny everything. We need to understand the dangers of denial. Don't deny everything. Do what the first verse said. Prove all things, hold fast with that which is good. So make diligent inquisition, right? Chew that meat up. And when you identify the bones, you identify that which is not true, you spit that out. You make diligent inquisition, but don't just swallow the whole thing. And don't just reject the whole thing. Prove it, right? And people don't like doing this because it actually takes work, it takes research. But it's important that we do this. Number two is the dangers of denial. Number three is the dangers of deifying. So specifically, when I'm talking about deifying, is specifically deifying a particular figure or a particular person. Because a lot of so-called Christians and a lot of people around the world have taken this event as an opportunity to really just commit man worship is really what it is. It's glorifying man instead of glorifying God. And many people have said that what happened was divine intervention, even people specifically stating that God grabbed the bullet or that God turned his head, that God turned Trump's head. And it's no doubt that, of course, that God is in control about whether or not someone dies or lives. Go to Daniel 5:23. Daniel 5:23. But the reason they're saying this is because they believe that God is in favor of America, and because they believe God is in favor of America and that America deserves better and that America deserves a better president than Biden, then